Uh, Surprising to some degree that the NDP supported the Conservative motion yesterday to
No,
exempt all home heating fuel, including propane and natural gas, from the carbon tax for this 3-year pause, which is, of course, not a solution, but it might be a temporary band-aid for a lot of people. Does it worry you, though, that Trudeau has apparently concocted a deal with the separatist bloc to make this to over?
well,
I mean,
that's
it didn't have any meaning if it had a pass, but it was certainly symbolic. Does that worry you? He's aligned himself with separatists.
well. I think there's two things there. Of course, it worries me that the Quebec tail can wag the rest of Canada's dog. Uh, I mean, we've always faced that. At the end of the day, they're the wild card, and Trudeau will play that every chance he gets. But I really think Jag was driven by the provincial arms of his party. He's the leader of everything, provincially as well. And there were a lot of provincial NDP governments and provincial NDP oppositions that were speaking out in support of the Conservative motion. So he was trapped between a rock and a hard place, and he decided to go with the hard place. But he'll be there right away back in Trudeau's corner, whatever happens today. So it was a temporary lull. I think the premiers, they stood together in Halifax the same day the vote came down and said, we all agree this carbon tax is killing our economies. And, I didn't see that covered in a big way.
And a lot of folks are suggesting today that Quebec is backing Trudeau's carbon tax and conceivably the government for the next 2 years, because Quebec, of course, has a cap and trade program in place, and they really don't need their exemption.
Well, that's smoke and mirrors. That's like using monopoly money to change up into Canadian dollars. They're worth about the same right now. But at the end of the day, their cap and trade system, no one's continuing on with that. Ontario had one for a little while. California was the one that started it. And even they're realizing now that there's nothing left to trade. They capped everything, and they're in trouble. I mean, industry is moving out of California as fast as they can get a U-Haul. So, it's going to backfire at some point on Quebec. The biggest thing that Quebec's got going for them is they don't include their electricity production in the equalization formula. So that means they continue to get the lion's share of the money, most of it coming from Western Canada, Saskatchewan and Alberta. Ontario's on a pause economically as they try to struggle back from whatever fiscal policies they're working with at the time. And it's just unconscionable to people in Western Canada the amount of money that goes into Quebec to create the utopia that they can't afford without our dollars.
Yes, and yet they continue to talk about an independent Quebec, which would not be getting those dollars. And
They go broke in 3 years. Yeah,
it is an illusion, and it's unfortunately part of the daily narrative that comes out of Ottawa. This somehow this can continue without any repercussions. Hi, this is David Crayden from Crayden's Right and Stand on Guard. Join the resistance. Resolve to resist. Become a member of this station. I've been practicing journalism in one form or another for over 30 years. I've worked in print, radio, and television for a lot of prestigious publications and media outlets. I was an Armed Forces Public Affairs officer. I worked on Parliament Hill. I know how Ottawa works, and I know how corrupt federal government can be. But you can play a part in opposing Justin Trudeau's government and Justin Trudeau's plans for Canada. You can become a part of the Crayden's Right resistance. Now, I urge you today, please support this station in any way you can. Ring that bell, subscribe, because that ensures you're at least going to continue to be able to watch these episodes. You'll beat the algorithm. But more importantly, I need your financial support. I hate to ask, but that's what I'm doing. I made a decision to pursue independent media because I believed it was the best possible route for me to take as a journalist and as a concerned citizen of Canada. So you can become a part of that. And at only $5, you can become a part of that on YouTube, on Substack, and with Buy Me a Coffee, a one-time donation. But I need your support. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. If you've already done that, if you're already supporting the station, thank you. But if you haven't, make that decision today. Bye.